We have talked about it here before, and every time we do, we stir up a hornet's nest of controversy, which is still raging today. That's why about a year ago on this show, I challenged a leading weight loss expert to do more research about HCG. Today, she's back with her results and says what she's found has the potential to convince me HCG for weight loss can work. HCG. It's a hormone produced by a pregnant woman's placenta and is essential to keep a growing fetus healthy. But since the 1950s, HCG, or human chorionic gonadotropin, has also been hyped as a secret weapon for rapid weight loss. Advocates say HCG helps to suppress your hunger and trigger your body to burn fat, not muscle.
The key is muscle. With HCG injections, you lose the fat and you save the muscle. It's the most effective method that I have to help someone get the weight off and keep it off.
But not everyone is convinced that HCG is the magic bullet it's touted to be. Some argue the weight loss is strictly due to the dramatically limited diet of 500 calories a day.
With an optimal dosing plan of HCG and a very low-calorie diet that they have to follow, they should expect to lose a half a pound to a pound per day.
I give myself the HCG shots every morning after I take a shower. I follow a very strict 500 calorie a day diet. I also drink lots and lots of water.
Energy's been good.
Since I started with Dr. Emma and the HCG injections, I've lost over 40 pounds. My entire body has changed.
I see hundreds of patients a week. I've done additional studies, and I am convinced that HCG injections are the way to go.
I believe you can't ignore the impact HCG shots have on the body if you have scientifically gathered results. So let's see if Dr. Emma has them. Let's get something off the table right up front. Do you believe that you have data showing HCG helps with weight loss, or that it helps keep the weight off once you've lost it?
It's actually a little bit complicated, but it's the diet that drives weight loss. It's HCG injections that affect how you lose the weight. So let me explain. On a standard diet, often patients will lose muscle, which looks great on the scale, but it's really not good for you and makes it harder to maintain. With HCG injections, my research has shown that it helps patients keep the weight off by retaining muscle mass, and that's very important.
So you can lose weight with the diet, with or without HCG, but you argue you'll actually keep it off longer if you do it with the HCG.
Correct, because it changes your body composition in favor of muscle over fat. It's more of a selective fat loss, and that's what helps you keep weight off.
This is very intriguing to me. So I've made a little demonstration. Maybe together we can go over and show this to everybody. This is a fundamentally important idea, and we're going to talk about it throughout the course of the show. Because if we're going to look for a new solution for how to get people to lose big-time weight, then we also have to give them a solution to keep that weight off, because so many of us are yo-yoing back and forth. So we built two models of you. Right? This is a person who's losing weight with HCG. This is someone who's doing it without HCG. Now, Dr. Emma's preliminary, but these sort of pilot findings show that women, when they lose weight with HCG, primarily lose the fat. They use the yellow, so you go to help me there. They lose the yellow part. The muscle, the red, stays intact. So fat disappears, the weight comes off, but you're not losing, importantly, too much of the red. That's important for you to maintain, because without that muscle, you'll yo-yo right back up again. Without these shots, Dr. Emma's early data shows that women lose the fat as well. When you go on a diet, you're going to lose fat. But when it's an extreme diet, under 1,200 calories a day, you begin to lose muscle. And as you lose muscle, you ultimately lose critical parts of muscle, so the diet falls apart. And then you tend to gain all the weight back.
Correct.
Now, on your preliminary study, on average, folks were able to lose 41% less muscle when they were doing it with the HCG diet than when they were doing it on their own.
Correct.
Right. So let's have a seat here, because what makes this huge for me is that this has been an area of this process that has not been debated before. And I love the fact that we're starting to ask questions that allow a lot of people out there struggling to lose weight and don't seem to be able to find those solutions, new clues, tantalizing insights that might allow them to do it successfully. That's why I've asked you to come back on the show and continue this discussion, but it's also why I've asked all these women in front of me today to join us. They can all personally speak to how HCG helped them take off and, more importantly, succeed at keeping the weight off. So, Katie, maybe you could start speaking for the group. How did the HCG diet work for you?
The diet worked amazing for me. I lost over 45 pounds in 5 months. I've kept off the weight since August, have no problems, and I've been maintaining a 1,500 calorie diet ever since then.
Were you hungry during the program?
No. No hungry, no cravings, no nothing. It was fabulous. It's the first time something ever worked for me.
And Michelle, if you could join us as well. You look fantastic.
Hi, thank you.
How did the diet work for you?
I've lost over 55 pounds, and I've maintained weight loss for over 2 years.
For 2 years?
For 2 years. And when I was on the shots, I wasn't hungry.
Was it difficult for you to keep the weight off after you stopped taking the shots?
No, it wasn't difficult. I'm on an 1,800 calorie a day diet right now, and I exercise every day, so.
Let me ask you, if you can have a seat, Michelle.
Sure.
Let me see a show of hands. Who out there thinks keeping the weight off, you can keep your pictures up, who thinks keeping the weight off was actually pretty straightforward once you lost it? Put your hands up. So across the board, you all found it easy to keep the weight off. Right. Thank you all of you for joining us today. Dr. Emma, you did everything I asked you to do, but it's a controversial area of research with a very mixed history behind it, and some physicians don't like your science and have good reasons to believe that. So I'm going to ask Dr. Craig Premack to join us. He's an obesity specialist who's been studying weight loss programs for 15 years. He does not believe that HCG works or has any real impact on taking the weight off or keeping the weight off. Dr. Premack, educate us about your concerns with the work that's been done by Dr. Emma.
Thanks, Dr. S. I want to really just make two kind of points about this diet. HCG diet that 99% of the people, women in the country, have done and will do is been studied for the last 50 years. We see that that diet does not help us lose weight nor keep it off. Dr. Emma's diet is a little bit different. When we start to look at her data, we see that there's a trend towards a little bit of muscle retention in that study, but we have to really start to look at, in a bigger population, will that data hold up?
Dr. Emma, why do you think your approach to using HCG differs from what's been done in the past?
Well, there are 3 main areas that are very different. First is the dosing method. So the old protocol, Simeon's protocol, it's been around a long time. The dosing method was static and the same for everyone in very low doses. We found that was not effective. We had to go to higher dosing levels, customized dosing levels, and it took years to develop, but it's much more effective for muscle retention. Secondly is the calorie count. So 350-pound male and 150-pound female should not be on the same diet. So the 500 calories shouldn't be arbitrary. We calculate how much protein someone should have based on their weight, what gender they are, and we have ranging protocols from 500 to 1,200 calories, and it should be more customized. Lastly is exercise. So one of the things I think that discredited a lot of the old program was he said no exercise at all. Right. Exercise is very important for weight loss, and we encourage it.
So, Dr. Premack, is it possible that Dr. Emma's approach with these HCG shots actually could allow women to keep the weight off, even after they've stopped taking the shots?
So I'm not sure exactly about the HCG shots. What she has added to this new diet regimen is she's added more protein and exercise. And when we look at diets in the past, especially the HCG diet, it was not done with enough protein. We've added a lot more protein to her diet, or she's added a lot more protein to her diet, and also exercise. And both of them are really what we've shown over time to help people retain muscle. And that will lead to longer-term weight loss.
All right. So let me ask then, for me, a big question. Giving HCG is a medical intervention, giving someone a shot every single day for the month or so, or maybe longer that you're taking it. But gastric bypass is a more invasive alternative that some folks are embarking on and does really result in weight loss. How do you compare those two options?
Well, often with gastric bypass or other invasive procedures, they reduce their calorie count to about 500 calories, if not less. And there's nothing protecting their muscle from breakdown. So I often tell my patients, if you're considering something that's that extreme, my protocol may be worth a try first.
We're back debating the impact HCG shots have on your ability to lose weight and keep it off. Dr. Sherry Emma is an HCG expert who has researched HCG's impact to help you take off weight without losing muscle. Dr. Craig Premack is an obesity specialist who takes issues with Dr. Emma's claims. I want to play a devil's advocate here and present the biggest arguments that I've heard against HCG shots and the diets associated with them. So the first argument is that the caloric restriction is so severe that you end up starving yourself, and that HCG doesn't really have a significant impact on hunger. Now, Dr. Emma, you disagree. What's been your experience with HCG and its role in hunger?
Well, other than anecdotally with my patients having a profound effect, there are studies that have linked nausea in pregnancy to surges in HCG levels. So our theory is that at lower doses that we give during diet, it's just enough to take the edge off.
Let me show everybody what we know about HCG and why this research ever got done in the first place. The placenta, which of course has to be there to keep the pregnancy going, is located deep inside your belly. So that placenta is an organ by itself, and it pumps out HCG into the fetus, to the baby, to keep the pregnancy healthy, but also it sends those same chemicals deep into the bloodstream from the placenta up here. And as those chemicals, HCG in particular, travels throughout the body, it has profound effects on your hormones, for example, that come from the thyroid gland up here in the neck. It tells the thyroid gland to make more of its hormone. And all this, interestingly, we believe now might lead to that feeling of sickness and nausea that's so common, especially around the 9th week of pregnancy. So if the surge in HCG leads to either changes directly in the brain or in the thyroid gland that causes this, the question then becomes, could you actually take someone who's not pregnant, give them lower levels of HCG, in fact, much lower than the placenta would have made that animation that I showed, and perhaps it could cause not the sickness, the morning sickness and the like, but a similar loss in appetite. It's an interesting theory that it could have a direct effect, and it does sort of fit, but the real question is, if you didn't get morning sickness in pregnancy, would you have any benefit at all if you took HCG?
Absolutely. It may not have as profound of a suppressant effect on the hunger, but it will still have that valuable muscle mass retention, which is really the most important thing we're seeking here.
And why is giving the HCG in your diet not cause the morning sickness in some
Well,
folks?
women that have very severe levels of morning sickness have had little bouts of nausea with HCG injections. So it's really about dosing method. You have to do that very carefully.
Dr. Primack, your thoughts on the role of HCG in hunger?
If we were to look at about 1,000 women who have been pregnant, some of them have nausea, some do not, but almost all of them are gaining weight. So to take a leap of faith and say that we're actually going to be less hungry and lose weight is one thing. Then we have to look at what the diet is being used with this program. It is a very low carbohydrate diet. And we've proven in very low carbohydrate, so less sugar diets, much like an Atkins diet, that people are not hungry at that time. Over time, when these diets have been studied, that's what we believe is stopping hunger, which is the low carbohydrate and low sugars.
So as an obesity specialist, can you comment a little bit on these low-calorie diets? What do you think is an acceptably low diet for people to be on?
So we don't really look at calories per se, we look at overall nutrition. So the amount of protein especially, some of the fats, and then nutrients, your vitamins and minerals. If you're watching someone, so medically watching them, as you bring them down to a lower calorie, you can be safe, but it doesn't guarantee you're safe unless being hard. And on a 500-calorie diet, it is hard to get that amount of nutrition. Most people use 800 as a safer, even going up to, as you quote, 1,200 calories, being a significantly safer diet.
The next argument against HCG shots are the potential side effects. Let me quote an FDA statement. The FDA says it has received reports of serious adverse events associated with the use of HCG injections for weight loss, including cases of pulmonary embolism, depression, cerebrovascular issues, cardiac arrest, and death. So, Dr. Emma, how do you respond to the possibility of having those types of severe complications from HCG injections?
Right. Well, first of all, there's no prescription medication that's without side effects. But there are very few associated with this, and most of them are associated with higher dosing, such as fertility. So when I discuss this with my patients, I explain we're using a much lower dose. I have treated thousands of patients, and I've never seen any serious side effects. So I feel that the risk is very low.
Since you see so many folks, let me ask the big question in my mind. Who is the typical person who might benefit from being on an HCG diet?
I would say my typical patient is a woman in her 40s who's been struggling to get that last 30 pounds off, and nothing has worked before this.
Joining me now is restaurateur, author, and television personality Donatella Arpaia, owner of Donatella Restaurant in New York City, who's one of the last people in the world, I think, who want to be part of this conversation. I mean, how did you get involved in the HCG diet in the first place?
I had a baby at 40, and I gained a lot of weight, and Dr. Emma saw me on the Today Show cooking and called me up and said she needed some help with recipes, which she did, and I needed help losing weight, and I said, I'll give it a try. At that point, my husband got me a treadmill, and I wasn't using it, so I wanted to see, and I found it to be extremely effective for me.
One of Dr. Emma's claims is that it dramatically reduces hunger so you can stay on these low-calorie diets. Did you experience that?
I would not have been able to sustain it if it wasn't for HCG. A placebo effect wouldn't have worked. I've done 1,200 calories and I'm hungry, and I was on 600, 700, 800 calories, and I was able to manage it. It didn't eliminate it for me. For some people, I know it eliminates the hunger, but it was like my friend, and it helped me manage my hunger.
And how much weight did you lose?
About 35 pounds.
Good for you.
But
Good for you.
very rapid.
I'm sorry?
And it happened very rapidly. I did 2 cycles of about 3.5 weeks each, and I lost about 15 pounds each time. And then there was a few months in between that I maintained, too. So that's very important, is that it's not coming back.
Is it difficult to not gain the weight back?
No, for me, so far, it hasn't been. As a matter of fact, the last time I did it was in November, and through the holidays, I've maintained it. Now I want to go for the final. I'm going for my high school weight, girls. The final 10 pounds.
So, maybe you may not know this, but your husband's a doctor. He happens to be actually one of my colleagues at New York Presbyterian Hospital.
Happens to be a heart surgeon,
Heart
yes.
surgeon. So Dr. Alan Stewart's joining us in the audience, and I thank you again for coming and sharing some of your thoughts. You've heard the same criticisms of the HCG diet that I'd heard that Dr. Primack outlined today. What were your first thoughts when you started researching it in the context of your beautiful wife's desire to pursue it?
Well, like any other doctor, I would say, well, in order to lose weight, you just have to stop eating and exercise more. And that gives you really no blueprint on how to lose weight. And this gives a paradigm. It's important to know you don't just inject this and all of a sudden weight's falling off you. There's a whole lifestyle modification. And I really didn't know much about it, so I did what all of you would do. I'd go ask America's doctor. But the nice thing is that he has the office next door. We went and we talked about it a little bit. And I found it was a very controversial topic. But I'll tell you, it really has managed Donatella's hunger. And for a girl who's always around food, I noticed she's really just given up the alcohol, given up food, and really not been tempted. She just isn't hungry. So it's really, really worked for her. And in my reading of it and in talking to Dr. Emma about it, I'm really intrigued. And I think this really does have a place in concert with exercise and with caloric.
So I kept thinking to myself, you're around food all the time.
I'm around food all the time.
It must be impossible not to be tempted to overeat. I mean, you're a chef.
It's true, and I can't be around diets that completely eliminate foods, and I don't believe in that and counting calories all day. But for me, what intrigued me was and for a woman, and it's different for a man and a woman, I'm sorry, it is, especially as we get older. You know, we can both go on a diet and he'll give up one thing and lose 10 pounds, and the women are doing all these things, and at the end of the week lose a half a pound, and you're discouraged. Yeah. But there's rapid weight loss and also more inches, too. I lost weight differently, so there was definitely, it looked like I was working out even though I wasn't. Although I started working out now, it's important.
Well, let's look at some of these recipes. You decided to revise some of Dr. Emma's food recommendations.
Yes.
And as a chef, you had some insights. So we're going to outline a 560-calorie day of food right now. And I want to be thoughtful about this. I personally don't think you should be eating less than 1,200 calories unless someone's involved in your care to give you some advice. But if you're using HCG or a physician-guided program, this is a high-protein diet that could work, and it looks pretty tasty. So walk us through breakfast to start with.
Breakfast, this is what was suggested on Dr. Emma's meal plan, eggs and an apple. And that's why we were made for each other, because she got me off the oil, and I taught her how to cook. And this is egg white omelet with ham, basil, and roasted cherry tomatoes. And just roasting on high heat caramelizes the vegetable, brings out the flavor. It's much more appealing. And they're both 100 and 110 calories.
This is 100 calories? You're kidding me.
No, I'm not.
No, how about for lunch, 100 calories?
Boiled shrimp and a head of lettuce. This was 100 calories. I did panko, coconut, baked shrimp with an apricot chili sauce and steamed broccoli. And this is 100, and this is 110 calories.
It's just a lot of volume for 100 calories.
High fiber, protein.
Yeah. And your dinner?
My dinner, this is the steamed broccoli and baked chicken. And this is tarragon, very herb-forward, panko, whole wheat panko, breaded and broiled, and cauliflower, which is a great substitute for potato. A half a cup of cauliflower is like 14 calories, and half a cup of potatoes like 70 calories. So
oh, my goodness. Roasted
in the oven, and then mash it with some non-fat Greek yogurt, and you have the satisfying notion
this
of
actually,
mashed potatoes.
It looks filling. Again, this is about 250 calories?
Yes, they're both 250. Yeah. This is 249.
How appetizing does this look, guys?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who I'd feed that to.
And I have to say, even when I was on 1,200, I felt hungry and not satisfied. So at 600, 700, you know, at the end of the week, when you see the weight, the scale move, you're encouraged to continue.
Finish up with dessert.
This is Dr. Emma's baked apple for 180 calories with cinnamon, and my pumpkin mousse with coconut whipped cream for just 90 calories.
Yeah. So the whole thing is
559 calories.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Remarkable. You can find all of Don Teller's delicious recipes at DrOz.com. So let me share some of my final thoughts with you regarding Dr. Emma's new protocol for HCG. And listen carefully, this is important that you get the details. From the early data that I see, there's a trend for Dr. Emma's patients to maintain more muscle than usual when on this diet. I'm intrigued enough to think that people may benefit if the HCG is used correctly. Now, if you want to give the HCG a try, please find a reputable doctor who follows Dr. Emma's protocol. The doctor you choose should be collecting information on their patients so you can see the results of the folks before you. And guess what? Others should be able to benefit from your personal experience taking this diet. Science advances when curious people like Dr. Emma collect information in pilot studies so that organized medicine, people like me and Dr. Premack, can get involved and create these big, expensive studies required to definitively prove what works best for our patients. The key to your health starts in your shopping cart and in your refrigerator. Now, if I were your coach, I'd give you the play-by-play of the mistakes you make. So I did just that. I spied on some shoppers at the supermarket to see if I could catch them red-handed. Let's go to the videotape. Here's Genevieve. Pass the cupcakes. No, pass the cupcake. Oh, well, at least she's reading the label. Now she'll see how bad they are. No! She's putting them in her cart. She's going from sweets to produce now. Well, she'll make up for those cupcakes. Good job with the mangoes. They're high in vitamin C. Very, very good. Here's a variety of lean meats. Lean protein. Oh, she's getting the full nitrate, fat-filled bacon? Oh, Genevieve. Let's see how Jillian's doing. Those apples, they're full of fiber. Wait, Jillian, you're missing all the other fresh, healthy produce. Jillian! And now she's making a left into aisle 4. Oh, we all know aisle 4 is the snack aisle. Oh, okay, get the baked chips at least. I said baked. No, those aren't baked. They're fried. Now we have Ashley and daughter Alyssa.
Alyssa, do you want some melon or some strawberries?
Oh, she's adorable, isn't she? Good snacks, Mom. I'm so proud of you.
You want chocolate-covered pretzels? Do you want one?
No, Ashley, no. You were doing so well.
I'll have one too. Cheese for Daddy.
1 cheese is fine. 2, 3. The woman loves her cheese.
Oh, perfect, wine.
Oh, of course, wine with cheese. I just hope she remembers just 1 glass.
I think Dr. Oz would be proud of us. Do you think that?
I think Alyssa and I have a few pointers. So cute. Joining us are some of our brave shoppers. Ashley's up first. Let's take a look inside your shopping cart.
Okay.
All right, look at it up there. So what are you proudest of in the cart right now?
Well, you can't see it, but there is almond milk in there, stuck in the bottom. I'm proud of that. There's some garbanzo beans.
Good.
There's some leafy greens in the back, and the carrots.
So as I reviewed the videotape, I actually liked a lot of the things you purchased, but I noticed a lot of instant meals. Is that sort of a theme in your household?
It can be. It's just myself and my daughter, as you saw. My husband works all the time, so when she goes to bed, it's something quick.
So let's just go through this. I see a frozen dinner. I see instant couscous. I see instant rice.
Yes.
So this instant theme obviously has gotten you where you want to be, and I get it. A lot of folks are going hard. You know, people are eating at different times of the day. It's sort of nice to just roll it out in 5 minutes. So you're on the right track.
Okay.
But I would argue that you have the wrong tactics.
Okay.
Because you've got to be very cautious with some of these instant meals, especially if you have instant meals that have flavoring in them ahead of time, some of the frozen meals. It can get pretty complicated unless you know what to look for. So if you want to avoid the sodium, if you want to avoid some of those preservatives that neither you nor your daughter are going to want to have in your bodies, then I would take the following guidelines to heart. You ready?
Yes.
I'll walk through this for everybody now. First off, I want you to make smart choices by not having any trans fats. Look in the back, you can see that pretty quickly. You're going to make sure there's no more than 4 grams of saturated fat. You don't want to have more than 600 milligrams of sodium. Remember, a lot of the salt that you add in there helps preserve the stuff, but it's not good for you, for your blood pressure. And finally, 500 total calories per serving.
Okay.
You can do less than that, but no more than that.
Okay.
All right, fair enough?
Thank you.
Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Genevieve. She's joining us. How are you, Genevieve?
How are you?
So let's look at your shopping cart. I've got it up here. Again, I got to applaud you. You've got greens, you've got reds, you've got cool things in there. But I'm also seeing a lot of sugar.
A little bit.
Yeah. Now, the sugar is not just the obvious stuff that has sugar. I mean, I get that you've got syrup down in the bottom there. I know there's that's some kind of whipped product up top that has sugar in it. But you actually have some hidden sugars in here. Right? You have breakfast bars. You see the cereal, the juice actually will often have. Those little bars will have tons of stuff hidden in them that you're not really aware of.
They're really good.
They are really good, which is why you get them. I get that. So my guidelines are going to help you figure this out. You get the right kinds of sugars if you're going to have them. You don't get any other fake stuff in there as well that can throw you off. So if the same rules I just gave to Ashley about the packaged foods, they apply to you, Genevieve.
Okay.
But in addition, I'm going to add 2 more to you. No more than 4 grams of sugar per serving.
All right.
And I also want you to look at that label on the back. And I'm going to list off some ingredients to you. You may not recognize them, but now that I've mentioned them, you'll be able to look for them in the future. So diacetyl.
Diacetyl?
Never heard of that, have you?
Never.
Okay, we'll put it up so you can see how it looks like. Diacetyl, artificial sweeteners, sugar alcohols, high fructose corn syrup, brown rice syrup. It sounds natural and organic-y fun, but it's just sugar, basically. And anything that's hydrogenated, you don't want to have in your food.
Got it.
You look for those ingredients. Once you know what they are, you'll memorize them. You'll be looking for them all the time. You'll avoid some big mistakes.
Good.
All right. And then one other thing. All my rules, because I know they're hard to remember, they're all going to be on DrOz.com.
Perfect.
You can always check it out.
I love it.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Up next, we are catching more viewers red-handed, but this time we're going inside the fridge. Would I approve of what's in yours? Find out next. So I've created what I'm calling the perfect fridge, so you know exactly what you need to get started. Now, my first perfect fridge rule is to stock up on essentials. Let me show you. Notice in your fridge it was a little bit sparse inside there.
Yes, it
There wasn't a lot of extra things. There was water, pretty much. And there's some more water, and then a little orange juice I saw. So I'm going to show you what I would put in my fridge. This is what I promised I would give you.
Sounds
First
good.
off, I love eggs because they're a good source of protein. The cholesterol is not a big issue for the heart for the vast majority of people. Milk I adore, but you don't have to have milk from cows. You can also get hemp milk or almond milk, whatever you want. But it's sort of a nice little staple to have in your fridge. It's got a reasonable shelf life now. And then you want to get 100% whole grain bread. Right? You want the loaf to have at least 3 grams of fiber per slice.
Okay,
That's your
I
rule of thumb.
actually have the whole grain, and no one will eat it but me.
I've got news for you. Those are strapping boys. Terrell's his name, right, Terrell?
Yes, Terrell.
So we don't have any cases of Terrells of the world starving to death. He's going to eat what you put in his fridge eventually. Maybe complain about it a little bit, but he'll get it in.
Yeah, eventually he does. And the milk and eggs, I usually have those, and they only last about 2 days because the milk, they just make cereal. So that's gone.
If you're going to spend money on something, I'd spend it on wise purchases like that.
Okay.
All right, thanks very
Sounds
much.
good.
All right, my second rule for the fridge has to do with the fruit and vegetable drawer. I want it to be the color of the rainbow. Now, you had lemons. Lots of lemons.
Lots of lemons.
You had Brussels sprouts.
Lots of Brussels sprouts.
Right. So that's 2 of the colors.
Right.
But I've actually put in front of you all the colors of the rainbow. I want red, orange, yellow, green, purple, and brown, just like I put them out here. So you could have peppers or tomatoes. We heard about lycopene earlier. Apples will work as well. I love oranges, lemons in the middle. You can put all your packs of lemons right here. The green can be anything you want, spinach, kale, some grapes, and don't forget the brown or neutral colors.
Oh, okay.
Because things like mushrooms actually are a wonderful source of vitamin D that the other fruits and vegetables won't be able to give you.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Will your husband be impressed by you buying all this stuff now?
I think if I do it in nice quantities, he'd be really impressed.
Yeah,
Definitely.
measure them out of the way. All right,
Exactly.
thank you.
Thank you.
And remember, you can put them in the freezer also. If they don't all fit in the fridge, freeze them up. All right, third rule has to do with the dairy drawer. So you had 5 kinds of cheese, I counted, in your fridge.
Yes, I did.
5 counts, including fried versions of cheese, which I don't even count anymore as good for you. Those fried
it's not.
mozzarella sticks. I know they taste good, but they're not good for you. So I think everyone ought to commit to having 2 sources of dairy.
Okay.
2 max. My favorites happen to be, you mentioned the Greek yogurt, because I think you had that as well. Parmesan is fantastic because it's so strong. You don't need to have a lot of it of any one bite. You can use it in cooking for a lot of sources. And I actually like goat cheese a ton. And I adore the taste. It's a little bit more exotic, so, you
Gotta try it.
Give it a try.
I gotta try it. I love cheese. I have all other kinds of cheese, right?
You look, yes, you
I'll
do.
try
You're
it.
a real connoisseur.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? She's looking forward to this. That's yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll try the Parmesan on my salad.
Take the Parmesan. Try 2. Try 2. All right. My next perfect fridge rule is to pack protein into your fridge. I noticed there was some ground beef in your shopping cart.
It's for taco night.
Taco night.
Taco night.
I mean-
Everybody has taco night, right?
They do, but do you have it every night or you have it most nights?
No, not most nights. Like once a week, once every 2 weeks.
You know, if it's a celebration, go ahead and do it. But I'll give you a couple other protein sources, which you can also make tacos with in some cases. Any kind of lean proteins you can get. I happen to like chicken, just because the breasts happen to be wonderful in many different ways. Rotisseries, or you can chop it up into taco versions.
Delicious.
Turkey is fine, but remember, if you're going to buy lunch meat, a turkey version of it, make sure that there are no nitrates in it.
Got it.
Because a lot of times folks will buy stuff that, it may be a little less expensive, but you don't want to have nitrates in any of your lunch meats. And I actually think ground turkey could be a substitute for the ground beef you had periodically. And I threw some tofu in here as well. Most people immediately recoil from tofu. They think of this bland, tasteless stuff. But if you make it the right way, your family's going to love it.
I love tofu. The boys, not so much. Husband,
Not at all?
Not a tofu kind of guy, but I'll eat the tofu. I'll make them the chicken.
Make them a chicken.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
Taco chicken. We'll put some salsa. Salsa's good, right?
Very
It's got
good.
some of the red stuff. We'll make salsa.
You put the colors together. I like it.
That's
Thank you, Justine. All right, and finally, my last fridge rule has to do with your condiments. I want you to chill on the condiments.
Okay.
I want you to get the mayo and the ketchup in that shopping cart.
Mayo is not mine.
It wasn't. Who was
My
it?
sister Courtney and my husband.
Can you imagine they put you up like that? It's terrible.
Make me look like that.
I know. I'd be so angry if I were you on television, too. All right, here, the ones that I love have long shelf lives, so you don't have to waste them. You don't have to buy them once in a while. You keep them out there. So jarred garlic.
Okay.
It's fantastic. Plus,
Yeah.
your fingers don't smell all the time.
I like the smell.
On your fingers?
Anywhere.
I know your favorite. Strawberry preserve, spicy mustard salsa, and I got some hummus here as well.
Okay.
So is your favorite the chopped garlic?
I
you think?
guess. My daughter loves the hummus, and I love salsa, so we'll definitely use them.
The family eats well. All right. Listen, thank you for letting me invade your privacy, but this will be helpful for everybody. Before I go, I want to show you a little treat in kindness for all the things you've done for me. This is my fridge. I have my own versions of mistakes, but you can find out exactly what's in my fridge and the full perfect fridge one sheet on DrOz.com. Check it out. Up next, moms often have some funny words of wisdom up their sleeve, especially when it comes to your health. So stay with us.
G-Shot for weight loss.
I have been stunned.
This doctor is convinced it works to lose weight and even keep it off.
My research has shown that it helps patients keep the weight off.
Is it right for you?
I lost over 45 pounds. It's the first time something ever worked for me.
I've lost over 55 pounds, and I've maintained it over 2 years.
The controversy.
Educate us about your concerns. You can't keep it up for long periods of time.
Why Dr. Oz thinks it might work for you.